Today, we're diving into the Atlanta Hawks, and let me tell you, their story is a wild ride. We're talking about a 5-city journey for one of the NBA's most traveled teams. It's a story about always being on the move, one incredible championship moment, and then a very, very long wait.
When I say Hawks, you probably think Atlanta, right? And for good reason. They've been the city's team for more than half a century.
Yeah, you see this logo, and you think of highlight dunks, packed arenas, maybe Trae Young hitting a shot from the logo. But what if I told you the single greatest chapter in this team's history happened long before they ever set foot in Georgia?
Yeah, to really get this franchise, you have to ask a different question. Who were the St. Louis Hawks? Because the answer to that, well, that's where you find their only championship. It's a golden era that feels like a lifetime ago.
See, long before Atlanta and even before they found glory in St. Louis, this franchise was basically a nomad, just wandering the country looking for a place to call home.
I mean, just look at this map of their journey. Buffalo, then the Tri-Cities, then Milwaukee, then St. Louis, and finally Atlanta. This wasn't just a team, it was a franchise constantly packing its bags, just trying to survive in the early days of pro basketball.
Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning. The year is 1946. The city is Buffalo, New York, and the team is called the Bisons. They were part of the old National Basketball League, the NBL, which was one of the leagues that eventually merged to become the NBA we all know and love today.
So, how long did the Buffalo Bisons last? 38. And I don't mean 38 years, not even 38 months, 38 days. Can you believe that? After just 13 games, the attendance was so bad, they had to pack it all up and leave. Talk about a rough start.
So their next stop was Moline, Illinois, which was part of a region they called the Tri-Cities. And with a new home came a new name, the Blackhawks.
They settled in at Wharton Fieldhouse and actually got some stability. They even made the playoffs with a young coach you might have heard of, a guy named Red Auerbach. Yep, that Red Auerbach. But in the end, the market was just too small to support the team.
After a pretty forgettable 4-year stop in Milwaukee, the franchise finally found the home it had been searching for. In 1955, they moved to St. Louis, and their golden age began, all led by their superstar, Bob Pettit.
Now, this is one of the biggest what-if moments in all of sports. In '56, the Hawks drafted a center named Bill Russell, but they immediately traded his rights to the Boston Celtics for 2 established All-Stars. Now, the guys they got were good, but Russell went on to win 11. That's right, 11 championships in Boston. That single trade changed everything for 2 franchises.
But even after trading away a future legend, the Hawks built a powerhouse around Bob Pettit. And in the final, deciding game of the 1958 NBA Finals, Pettit put on one of the greatest performances ever, scoring this many points. 50. A 50-point bomb to win it all.
And here they are, the 1958 St. Louis Hawks. This is the team that beat Bill Russell's Celtics to win the franchise's first, and to this day, its only NBA championship. And it was Pettit's 50 points in Game 6 that sealed the deal.
And this wasn't just some lucky win. This team was legit. They were totally dominant, they went to 4 NBA Finals in 5 years, and every single time they were up against that legendary Celtics dynasty. They were the undisputed class of the Western Conference. This was, without a doubt, their peak.
So if they were so successful, why would they ever leave St. Louis? Well, like it so often does in professional sports, it all came down to business.
It's a tale as old as time. The owner wanted a new, modern arena. The city of St. Louis said no. So, in 1968, he sold the team to an ownership group in Atlanta. And poof, just like that, the St. Louis Hawks were history.
Now, the move to Atlanta kicked off a brand new era, and it was defined by one of the most exciting players the game has ever seen. But it was also an era of being so close to greatness, but never quite getting there.
Dominique Wilkins, the human highlight film. Come on, for an entire generation of fans, Neek was the Atlanta Hawks. A scoring champ, a 2-time slam dunk champion, the guy was an absolute walking bucket who put on a show every single night.
And this right here perfectly captures the frustration of that time. The Hawks were a beast in the regular season. They won more than 50 games for 5 straight years. But in the playoffs, they always hit a brick wall, losing to rivals like the Celtics and Pistons in the second round over and over again.
And even after Dominique left, the story stayed the same. They brought in one of the best defenders ever, Dikembe Mutombo, with the finger wag, and they were still a solid playoff team, but they just could not get over that second-round hump.
All those years of being almost good enough have all added up, creating a historic drought that still hangs over the team today.
67. That is how many seasons have passed since this franchise last won an NBA championship.
And just to put that number in perspective for you, only one other team in the entire league, the Sacramento Kings, has gone longer without winning a title. That is a heavy, historical weight for any team to carry.
Which brings us to right now. For the first time in almost 50 years, the Hawks have the #1 pick in the NBA draft. So after a journey that's crossed 5 cities and seen generations of almosts, the big question for this franchise is pretty simple. Is the long wait finally about to be over?